Hi, my name is Cassidy Cole, and I am this year's featured artist for Artober Nashville. Painting is really personal to me, and I think it might be for every artist, I'm not sure, but especially with color, I have a relationship with each color. It gives me a different feeling, gives me a different sense when I'm looking at it. And so usually when I walk into the studio, I'm taking an experience I just had, or a thought I just had, or an interaction I just experienced, and I'm trying to make sense of it, and it usually comes out with the colors that I choose and the movements that I'm making. And after I finish a piece, I either feel like, okay, I kind of understand this a little bit better, or I'm just getting started. The colors from Amalfi Wind, majority of them came from the actual colors I saw on the Amalfi Coast. You've got this beautiful pink that's everywhere on the Amalfi Coast because of the flowers, and then the green because it's so lush because they're by the ocean, and so they're getting a lot of water and vegetation's everywhere. And then it's kind of just this array of color everywhere you look, so trying to minimize that into a tiny square. I just took the bulk colors that I was seeing, and then I always love a bit of order with chaos. I think that's kind of a balance in my mind that I need. So when I'm using lines, it's my way of getting to organize the chaos a little bit of the color. I never colored in the lines. I was never able to do that as a kid. I was never able to cut on a line, color in a line, and I used to get so frustrated. And then when I was oil painting and painting specific scenes, I loved it, but it would take me so long to finish a painting because I needed it to be perfect. And I had a mentor one time tell me that I didn't need to keep trying to fit into boxes that I saw of other artists or other people, and that I could just be myself. And so once I allowed myself to do that and allowed there to be chaos with a little bit of order of straight lines, and the lines don't have to be straight, but to me they look straight. That's kind of how Amalfi Coast came to be. Ultimately, it was order and chaos coming together. This is my process. So Amalfi Wind is on panel, which is a very different texture than canvas or paper or linen. And with panel, the paint dries quicker. And so you get a lot of different colors that come through that don't otherwise come through when you're working with canvas. So I use different kind of scrapers, whatever is available. Usually it's this tan scraper. I don't even know how to describe it. I think I bought it at a hardware store. But I'll scrape paint across to kind of get a broad brush stroke, and then I'll just layer on top over and over and over and try and encapsulate what I saw on the Amalfi Coast into this tiny square. After the paint dries, for Amalfi I used some oil pastel and some pencil, and I went on top and detailed into the paint to kind of get the movement that I wanted. That creates the whole piece, and that's how I created Amalfi. For a child to begin my same process, I think it would look like getting your hands dirty and getting familiar with the textures of the surface you're working on, and starting with a bare minimum of a color, a sheet of paper, a canvas, whatever it is, a surface, and starting and seeing what that looks like. And then laying another layer on top and seeing how it changes when you're layering. And then, okay, how do I articulate this feeling that I'm not really sure is something that I know how to verbalize? Well, it kind of feels like this. What about this interaction I had with this person where that was really fun? Well, it might look like this color. And then they can just play with it. The way that I made Amalfi Wind doesn't have to be the same way that a student, a child, another person, another artist makes the same version of Amalfi Wind. I think the greatest part of making art is bringing in your own vocabulary, your own sense of color, your own sense of experience. I've kind of created this alphabet for myself, these different styles and strokes that feel really comfortable to me, and they make sense to me. Lines, different shapes that mean something to me, but someone else might have a whole different idea in their mind of what they're seeing, and to put that in a piece will make it their own. And no matter what, each individual is unique. So whatever is coming out of them that feels true, that's ultimately what I recommend people use and when they're creating art, and especially when they're creating a version of their own Amalfi. Go crazy. If you think that the different elements of color can be broken down into grayscale of black and white, then that's your version. Or if you think that, instead of straight lines, you want to do squigglies, that's perfect. I mean, that's what you should make because that's your own experience and you're creative. I think majority of painting for me is trial and error. I can't tell you how many pieces I've started and never finished because I just don't know where they're going, or I thought I had an idea and I was working on it and then it became something completely different after I thought I messed it up. So I think abstract, you kind of get a leeway with that too, because if I don't know how the piece is going to look when it's completely finished because I don't really know how these colors are going to interact, it's all kind of a guessing game. And then the more open you are with mistakes, the more free your piece gets to become. And ultimately for me, the better the product. So for me, the way that I engage and contribute to art in the community is I try and see as much art as I possibly can whenever it's available. Galleries, museums, a lot of the time are free. And I love going to see new art that's coming in, artists, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to say. A lot of the time, artists are speaking on current issues, and I love seeing how they can articulate it because, as an artist, it's kind of the same language that I speak. I also try and make art with other artists as often as I can. They usually have a different skill set or a different experience, and so I love either collaborating with a musician or collaborating with a videographer or collaborating with a designer, because we get to bring our own talents together and then create an entirely new piece that otherwise wouldn't have existed if we didn't bring our minds together. So I think that the best way that you can engage is just to do something and get out there and see art, ask about art, maybe bring your art to a coffee shop or a space that doesn't have art and show it. I think that's a great way to get involved. Another way that you can get involved is there are so many art crawls that happen around the city. Nashville is so creative, and I feel like there's art on every corner if you're really looking for it. And so the art crawls are an amazing way to get to know other artists and get to know the city and see what's happening. And you can also participate more often than not. There's a project on the street happening, or a gallery that's helping kids get to participate, or the Frist has an incredible program that kids get to get involved in upstairs. So yeah, there are a lot of places to see art, and I feel like that for me is what helps me to make art, to go and see other people making it and see them putting in the effort, and then also being vulnerable to show to other people. That gives me courage to also do the same. So I'm really excited to see what art is going to be made for Artober Nashville this year, with artists all over the city and what all you guys are going to do. You can check out more events, and you can check out Amalfi Win on Artober Nashville's website at www.artobernashville.com.